Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
You know what else is padded? My
What?
bra.
Oh my god, I didn't know where you were going with that.
Hi
Welcome
to
the podcast that this is on the interwebs.
Alcohol Beyond This Point.
Now this is where we start drinking.
You know, fair.
Yeah, pour yourself a fucking drink. What is this?
I actually, so here's I've been kind of doing it on purpose, but not really. I've not really been drinking this week.
Mm-hmm.
I went out for dinner or lunch today and had a pint, but I didn't have alcohol for a week.
Wow.
Which is
longer than I've gone in
coming
a
from
long
an
time.
alcoholic. I mean, it's
That's a lot.
yeah.
Is this what happens when we don't podcast?
Yeah, I feel like
I think it's just because you're so busy.
maybe that's what it is. Yeah, but I used to drink out of a flask while I was working.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, I don't know either.
This is terrible. I'm going to try to spice it up.
He's currently pouring Di Serono into a Jack Daniels on the rocks. For the record, I offered him some wine and he said no. So,
I just don't want the sugar.
I really don't think you understand how much sugar is in hard alcohol.
No, I don't. No. I don't know. I just get the worst hangovers from wine. Whiskey doesn't really bother me.
I think it's all in your head.
Probably. Okay, that's marginally better. That took the edge off. Just a splash of Di Serono. How's that blueberry? From the infamous Shrugging Doctor.
Yeah, I'm drinking a bottle of my own wine that popped in the cork popped out in the sun. So
Wonderful.
it's a write-off bottle, so it's not great. It's oxidized because the cork popped out, but
Like how long ago?
I had it ready for last week, and then you canceled the episode, so it's been
Ah.
sitting on the table for a week.
That makes sense.
Because Tyler refused to record the last 3 weeks in a row.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, last week was a getaway with my girlfriend and I for her birthday, so...
Yeah, it wasn't even her birthday.
Nope. We booked a cabin, and it was because we booked it... I mean, this is Airbnb cabins in this province, but if you want a cabin, the same year that you're booking it, you're going to end up with weekdays, and that's kind of what happened, so...
I would have been less mad if you told me about it.
That's fair.
You didn't tell me until, I was on my way home to do the podcast, and you're like, actually, I'm out of town. And, surely you would have known that for months. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and you could have told me at all,
Certainly.
and you never mentioned it.
Nope.
You could have even told me, a month before, when you booked it, hey, this is a Wednesday, and then I would have put it in my calendar.
Yeah, and I totally, in my mind, I'm I thought we already had the conversation, but we definitely
No, because
didn't.
surely I would have argued with you,
Yeah.
right, if we had the conversation before.
Which is maybe why I didn't tell you.
Fair, but I had, moved around my afternoon so I could get here on time.
The worst. I'm the worst.
And then I thought you were going to cancel today.
No.
Because, at, 7:30, it's, 9 o'clock now. No, it's, 10 o'clock now. But at, 7:30, 7:45, I was like, I got to switch vehicles. I'm going to be, an extra half an hour. And then you text back, I'm still working, in the next province over, 2 hours away. I just finished now. And then I thought that was you being I'm canceling. And then I responded, okay, I'll see you at 10 then, or I'll see you in 2 hours, trying to be a dick. And then you're like, yep. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm pleasantly surprised that you showed up.
Man, I just told, I called Branton on my way off the job site. I'm like, yeah, so I'm going to be late tomorrow. So it is what it is. I mean, I just worked a fucking 14-hour day. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I was I wouldn't have been able to go to sleep anyways, because you know how it is when you work such a long day, you've reached the end, and you can't just go to bed, right? You have to unwind for a couple of hours.
Yeah, well, you kind of you get over the hump, right?
Yeah.
It's I can come home from working an 8-hour day and just fucking fall asleep.
Yeah.
I can't come home from working from a 16-hour day and fall asleep.
No, it takes, it's hours.
Yeah.
So this is my unwind, because I would be staring at the ceiling for the next couple hours anyways. Plus, I consumed a lot of caffeine today. I made the mistake this morning of going to, well, this wasn't a mistake. We went to the, illustrious Tim Hortons.
Wow.
I wish you Americans could understand how amazing it is. And we went to Tim Hortons in the morning, and because whatever, I crossed town to pick up my whatever coworker, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll buy you breakfast if you do." So whatever, hit Tim Hortons, and I like the taste of their Americanos. They really much better coffee. They're just straight drip coffee.
Sorry, what's Americanos?
Americano is
coffee.
espresso with water.
Espresso with water?
Yeah, so it basically is the same
Caffeine
strength,
content?
same strength as like a regular drip coffee,
Okay.
sort of.
Sorry,
it's a little bit stronger.
What's espresso?
Espresso? is
Yeah.
it's like in liquor terms, it's a shot. So it's
I've heard it.
concentrate. It's like a cup of coffee equivalent in like a shot.
You can't get like an espresso that's and that's what an Americano is.
You
espresso,
add water, yeah.
Oh, okay, now
It's like you go from like an almost undrinkable, like so strong caffeine shot, you water it down, and then it's like it's a different tasting coffee than just regular coffee.
You know what I want that I haven't had in a while, that I haven't been able to find in a while? I think supply chains is my friend I used to do markets with. He had these chocolate-covered espresso beans.
Oh, coffee beans, yeah.
But like espresso ones specifically.
Oh, okay.
That were like fucking like
strong.
I have a high drug tolerance, and like I ate like 3 of those. And I was like wide-eyed, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
My mom used to pop those when she was in school to like study and shit.
So he would, without even saying anything, 8 a.m. market, he'd walk past me and like put one in my hand, like,
That's so
and then
good.
like do that all day. And he would just like, I'd like look at him across the farmer's market, and he'd just like take one out of his pocket and eat it while he's talking to people. And like,
That's funny.
yeah, those were fun, but like those were great. But then I went so you could buy them at Bulk Barn. But then since COVID, I haven't been able to see them anywhere. They've just been gone.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I even looked on Amazon. And you ever look on Amazon and there's like the occasional product that's like sold by a third party, and it's just like $1,000 for like no reason.
Right.
It was like one of those. It was like $900 for a pack of like 30, and I'm like, oh, okay.
That's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, I ordered a large Americano, which is the equivalent of drinking 4 or 5 shots of espresso.
Actually, sorry, give me a little bit more gain.
It was like 4 or 5 cups of coffee. And that's a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when you're about to do a road trip. And I usually drink, I get a fair dose of caffeine in the morning, and then like I'm doing physical labor, so I start burning it off immediately, and I don't get that high. I always make this fucking mistake. I get the big coffee in the morning, excessively big in this case, drive 2 hours, so I'm sitting there, and it's just building and building and building and building. And the thing that I was doing was like a really high pressure situation that I was pretty anxious about. So like I had the anxiety plus the caffeine, and I was just buzzing. Like I was fucking vibrating for the first like.
Isn't it?
My hands were shaking a little bit when I was starting to work, and it took me a couple hours to like settle in, and then I didn't start coming down until probably like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. Also, adrenaline was there, and then I had a Red Bull to make the drive home because I just worked,
And
a
it's
fucking
getting dark.
long day. Yeah, so I'm like, I don't want to get drowsy, so I take the Red Bull.
That was supposed to be the drowsy Pokemon sound, but
I don't know that sound.
Okay.
5 stars. You did a great job. Yeah, so now I got fucking Red Bull in my blood and five shots of coffee, and here we are with some whiskey to take me down because I am a drug addict.
I don't really know the history of it, but I'd be curious to look into it, like how, because caffeine is absolutely a drug,
Yes.
right? Like it's absolutely,
And it's a relatively new drug for at least white people to be consuming. It's not like alcohol, which we...
But here's the thing is, like, alcohol, I think, is unequivocally a drug. Like, most people would agree.
But it's a drug humans have been consuming longer than they've been consuming, like, wheat.
But we still have, I used to buy energy drinks when I was, like, 13.
Yeah.
And no one did anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like, from a gas station.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, surely that's not great for you, obviously.
I mean,
but like, at least what I'm trying to say is, like, alcohol's widely, like, it's a drug, but it's so widely adapted, like, people don't care. We don't really, right?
Yeah,
but you still have to be a
acceptable.
fucking 18-year-old to buy it in, like, secured liquor stores. You know, it's like, caffeine is fucking anyone can get a coffee.
I think we should just go the way of Germany and
Now
consider,
you're too
like...
quiet.
We should go the way of Germany and just go the way of like beer and wine aren't like really alcohol.
Yeah, you can drink beer and wine at like 14, or no, I think younger. I think it's like 12.
Yeah, and purchasing and like going out of bars and stuff is like, I don't know, 15, 16, somewhere around there. And you can just drink in public. Liquor's cheap, like a nice bottle, like a decent bottle of wine is like $6, $10. Which is, I mean, they just don't have the crazy markup. It's the same fucking wine, but they
I'm
just
just
don't have the markup.
it's interesting that like caffeine is such a like no like I think the average person, if you tried to make the argument that alcohol's a drug,
Yeah.
average like 75% of people would be like, yeah, I'm on board with that. But like I think significantly less if you try to argue that like caffeine is straight a drug.
Or a drug that needs to be a controlled substance. That would be a different conversation.
Sure. Yeah, it's but like I take caffeine pills in the morning because I don't like the taste of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And I just buy them on Amazon.
Have you tried ginseng?
No, but you keep
I
recommending me
keep
that.
telling you to, and you don't do it, but it's so much better.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
caffeine will drive you towards adrenal burnout a lot faster, and when you hit adrenal burnout, like, because that's all it is. It's like caffeine stimulates your adrenaline system,
Okay.
and it just kind of like gives you a IV drip of adrenaline. That's what keeps you awake, make you feel like you have more energy, but you don't have more energy. Your brain thinks you do.
Sure. And what does ginseng do?
Ginseng is it's more of it's a very similar effect, but I think it doesn't just work on like a single hormone. I think it kind of works more across like a wider spectrum of different chemicals in your brain, and comes on easier and it goes down easier, and it's not as addictive, and it like it's kind of like taking like CBD on a regular basis. It kind of builds in your system, and it becomes more effective over time. You don't get the wiriness, the jitteriness. It doesn't have as many of the bad side effects. I don't know exactly what it does in the brain, but I just remember as compared to caffeine, like my mental clarity was better versus just feeling jittery. So it's like,
I guess sometimes
it felt better.
It depends on like how you consume it as well.
Yeah, it was
because like
capsules.
obviously there's fucking 5,000 worse things in an energy drink than just the caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
Like all the sugars and everything.
Yeah.
Like, which I guess like is by design because they just load it with so much fucking shit. You know, here's a business thing I actually heard on TikTok the other day that I thought was super interesting. 5 Hour Energy. You know how they come in those little capsules?
Yeah.
Or little bottles? Like those are probably 100 ml bottles. Maybe even 50.
Yeah.
The founder of the company was like, I want to get into the energy drink business, right? And all the market research he did, it's like, okay, it's owned by Monster, which is Coca-Cola, and Red Bull pretty much have the entire market share, right? And
Yeah.
like Rockstar, I guess, and like whatever. And so when he wrote the business plan, he's like, I'm not going to compete for fridge space. I'm going to make a shelf-stable version of the drink that can sit on, and then someone gave him the idea, go even further than that, put it tiny so it can go on the counter.
Yeah.
So you're not competing with Red Bull for shelf space and for fridge space. It goes in a completely different
Yeah. You're next
category.
You're next to the Bic lighters at the
Exactly.
checkout. Yeah.
And apparently back then or whenever that was, a lot of like, because like places sign exclusivity agreements.
Yeah.
Or specific, like they'll sign agreements that are like, okay, you can only have this many competitors and this amount of space or whatever.
They have relationships with their vendors.
Yeah. But nobody was signing shit for like the counters. It was just the fridges.
Right.
So he was able to just get in like every 7-Eleven because and I thought that was just such an interesting, like, approach the problem differently.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get in this, like, it was almost like, I want to get in this market. I can't do it the regular way. What's a creative way I can get in this market?
How do you backdoor it?
And steal it, right? And that was an interesting, like, work backwards from the, like, work backwards from, we're here, we're dominating the energy drink. Now that's step 100. Now what's step 99? And go backwards from there, right?
Yeah, they built the product around how they wanted to sell it.
Yeah, which I think is is
genius.
super interesting.
There's a lot of that kind of in the tech entrepreneurship space and in the incubator space. They're like, find a problem and then solve it. Don't start with a solution.
Yeah.
And then find,
Well, because I thought it's interesting because it's like the opposite way of how I started my business is that I was already good at something.
right.
Like my partner and I, like he was good at making wine and I was good at selling wine, evidently, or sharing wine.
Allegedly. In Minecraft.
And so we built a business around that.
Right. And then, but you had to very rapidly adapt because the specific products that you were selling didn't have a place in the market
Yeah.
that you started with.
Yeah. Which is just,
So
we figured it out.
yeah, I mean, the concept is there. Obviously, liquor manufacturing isn't something that was an invalid idea.
Second oldest industry in the world
Right.
behind sex work. Literally.
It's like you've said that before.
I
But
believe it.
I don't even know if I remember you saying that or if I just also now think that because you've said it so many times.
I say that a lot. Yeah. They've been making liquor almost as long as we've been
Fucking.
sure. No, but like as long as we've been like Homo sapiens.
Yeah.
Like they'll find urns of alcohol
Maybe
of like
earlier.
Well, who knows? Yeah,
Like,
because like
monkeys get high and drunk and shit.
Yeah.
Like
100%. Yeah.
Like,
So
like, is there a breed of monkey out there that like is grabbing the fermenting cherries off the vine and like putting them in some container and then just like saving them for later and then goes back and like gets fucked up on them? Like that's gotta happen.
they probably don't. Well, like monkeys obviously wouldn't understand why. Like I don't think they could reproduce that every time.
Yeah, maybe not.
But like almost certainly early humans also didn't understand why.
yeah,
Right? It was most likely mead was actually one of the first liquors ever made, which is wine made from honey, which we have a couple award-winning meads on shrugdot.com, shrugdoc.com. Not a sponsorship. Okay, so tangent here. You legally in Canada, CRTC laws, even on a podcast, if you are like sponsored by something,
right.
you have to. If I like just recommended buying Shrugging Dr. Mead, and that's paid, I have to disclose that was an ad.
Oh,
100% legal. You have to say this is an ad, this is a sponsorship. You have to use one of those words. You can't just be like, I love this. But do I have to disclose it if I obviously own the company?
no,
You know what I mean?
You're promoting yourself.
Yeah, because I think
You're not paying for it.
They always use at least in like liquor law, a lot of laws, they always use the phrase, would a reasonable person,
Right.
would a reasonable person assume, based on what you said, this outcome? Because obviously there's fucking idiots in the world.
Sure.
But like, would a reasonable person assume that me promoting the wine that that you can search up my corporate registration and see that I own this company?
Mm-hmm.
That's not like it's hidden information. Anyway, okay, that was a tangent. But mead is one of the oldest liquors that we've ever found. We found urns of like Viking mead, like buried in tombs that are like 30,000 years old. Significantly longer than we've been cultivating grapes.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Ancient Egyptians had like meads as well. I think Cleopatra had a bunch of it buried with her. And almost certainly it was because honey was a great thing to keep around because honey doesn't really go bad.
Yeah.
So they would just have like urns of honey,
And then sometimes
probably rained or something, got some bacteria in it, or not bacteria, but like yeast or however the yeast got in the fucking
maybe it was from
honey.
the urn.
And then they were like poor Viking peasants. And they're like, oh, if we don't eat the fermented honey that went bad, we're going to die.
And
So they
got
ate
fucked
it
up.
and they're like, oh, what the fuck? And then at some point we were able to identify, okay, if you do this to the honey, it gets you fucked up.
Oh, isn't there this?
But it's before recorded history.
Yeah.
Right? Like we don't know. We don't know how it happened.
Aren't like some of the witch trials based around like the
Oh, they thought everyone was hallucinating?
like the baker fucked up his bread
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
poisoned everyone and everyone started tripping balls
They
and then
thought-
they just executed somebody.
They think
What was that,
That-
compound?
There's it's some sort of bacteria that
Yeah.
if it goes a certain way, it has like the same like psilocybin kind of properties. And that's what they think happened at one of these witch trials was everyone was high as fuck.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you cast a spell on us.
Yeah, we collectively all see the same hallucinations.
I heard a podcast like describing the shit that people were doing while they were high as fuck. Amazing. Think about an entire town of people get dosed with LSD at 8 in, and none of them know that they've been dosed.
Well, none of them know it exists. Never mind.
Right.
Like at least if me
They
and you
think
were,
they're seeing God. Like,
yeah, me and you are a bad example, but like my parents get dosed with LSD for some reason.
and they've never heard of LSD.
No, but like my parents would be like, okay, I understand that there are hallucinogenic drugs in the world.
Right.
Maybe we got dosed with one of those.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know that existed, you'd be
And
like,
it's
what
like,
the fuck?
And it's like the preacher, the school teacher, the baker,
We're both clipping, I think.
the policeman. Yeah, because when we drink, we get louder.
Yeah. we had it perfect for a second there.
We need
But it's both.
Yeah, we need compression. Anyways, like imagine just everybody in the town is like doing their own shit. It's like this guy over here is like trying to dig a hole in the street because he like saw something dive into the gravel and disappear, and now he's like digging a hole and looking for this thing. Like just imagine an entire village like that just going insane, and then everyone like comes down from it and is like witch and just executes somebody at random. Amazing.
Well, did she
Not
weigh,
at random, the spinster.
Did she weigh as much as a duck?
Probably.
And she's a witch. That's a deep pull. It's a pretty popular movie. If you get the reference, let me know. Have you heard? I think I've talked about this 100 times on the podcast, but stoned ape theory.
Yes.
One of my favorite, because there's like 100,000 years of human evolution where our brain grew like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Unprecedentedly, because like through evolution.
And it didn't make sense in the standard evolutionary model because a bigger brain wouldn't have been advantageous.
Correct. Yeah, there was no reason why our survival would have been helped by a bigger brain.
Yeah.
But there was this period of evolution where before us, what was before us? Neanderthal, Homo erectus, all those. One of those.
Neanderthals was parallel to, not before.
Okay. Whatever. But at some point in there, our brains got significantly bigger than they should have, like by like 1,000 times. And nobody knows why.
Yeah.
But so one of the theories, and you Google this, is called the stoned ape theory, is that it was right around the same time as like one of the ice ages was ending. So all this permafrost was melting and all these new flora and fauna were growing because in places that they weren't growing before because there used to be ice, right? So all these mushrooms started growing and they were hallucinogenic mushrooms and early humans started eating them to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And then the psilocybin or whatever made our brains grow
quite rapidly.
and then you can go farther, and I've heard like QAnon people say that's why it's illegal,
Right.
because they know it'll bring us to a higher consciousness. Like if we could grow our brain that big, imagine what we could do now with the internet, and then we do psilocybin every day.
Yeah.
And that's why it's illegal. I'm not saying I agree with that one, but
No, I think it's
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like I get why, because you look at the history of how governments want to control people, but like how is marijuana illegal?
Occam's razor on this one.
They just want to arrest black people.
I think the value of hemp itself became a problem.
Don't get me started on this fucking the hemp car. See this guy? He built a car out of hemp plastic. It ran on hemp oil.
Yeah.
Everything about it was hemp. Hemp fiber for the tires. Literally everything was hemp. They fucking bought his patent off him, destroyed it, and then killed him. Like,
I think the
why don't we grow hemp?
I think the petrochemical industry basically killed hemp. It used to be illegal if you were a farmer. It used to be illegal to not grow hemp. If you had land, a certain percentage of it had
Because
to be hemp. Otherwise, you get fined
It's something like
because it was such a good crop.
hemp per acre is one of the best things we can possibly we've ever just
You know what
cultivated.
you know what you grow instead? Corn.
Yeah, which is like one of the worst.
Well, it's trash.
Yeah.
Corn's trash. But anyway, rant aside, Occam's razor on that is petrochemicals for one, and also just it went the way of the satanic panic, right? That's more so for LSD and psilocybin, but you know, a couple people lose their mind on hallucinogens, and they're like, oh, it's gonna make everyone crazy. They're gonna stab their neighbors, and it's gonna tear this country apart. When in reality, what they know now, because they've actually done science, is if you have a psychotic, like predisposition to psychosis, a psychedelic will accelerate that and push you over the edge.
Yeah, I remember my
which is roughly, I don't know what percentage of people. It's not very high, but it's a pretty static percentage, and it's inevitable it'll happen.
my one of my ex-girlfriends had a grandmother that had schizophrenia, and she was terrified of doing hallucinogens.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
she had a genetic predisposition to schizophrenia.
Yeah, and it could have been like, instead of getting it when she's 60, she could have got it with one dose.
Yeah, and I guess it's like the same thing as like you just have a brain aneurysm, and it could pop at any moment. Right. You just have it.
I mean, when they're doing clinical trials for psychedelics, they just screen for that.
Yeah.
And then
well, you're not supposed to do clinical trials to people with like mental like
but that's the idea, like they're like they knew there was some danger to the drugs, but they're like, okay, well, what's the danger? And they did some research, like, we think it's this psychotic, whatever, predisposition to psychosis,
and then the media runs away
and
with
then
it.
they screen for it,
yeah,
and their harmful effects went to zero.
Yeah,
just like that. It was that easy.
But then that's like, there's people that can't handle caffeine,
right?
Or
Absolutely.
alcohol, right? There's
or like peanut butter, like peanut butter's my favorite.
That's
example.
Actually a pretty good point. Yeah, people have fucking allergies.
If you give
to
peanut butter to 1,000 people and the COVID vaccine to 1,000 people, peanut butter's going to kill more of them.
That's a good example. Yeah.
Like, that's what when people are like, oh, this person got this adverse effect from the vaccine. I'm like, yeah, give all those motherfuckers peanut butter, and
Someone's gonna
tell me about how we need to pull that off the shelves, and how it's infringing on your human rights. And it's the globalists.
Dude, I'm still hearing people argue on the internet about fucking vaccines. It's like, are we past this yet? Like,
they don't even work anymore.
You getting another booster?
If they come out with one that's different.
Did you get a booster?
I did get a booster. Yeah.
I didn't get my booster even.
Yeah, I didn't do fuck.
So you know what? I was going to get it.
I got COVID like 2 months after I got the booster.
Yeah, so I was gonna get it, and then we all got COVID.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'm good for like 8 weeks now, and then I just never addressed it because all the restrictions went away.
Yeah, the booster ain't shit.
Well, because
it's still just it's just the same original vaccine off the Alpha variant.
The anti-vax dummies, I'm not going to give them any credit, but it kind of looks like they were right.
not for the reasons they believed in.
All the research shows that the vaccine is like not effective.
Well, currently it's not effective, but it was.
Sure, but
it was effective
also
when it got produced, but the virus is mutated so often.
But the mostly through the entirety of COVID, every iteration, the most efficiency of the vaccine was protecting you specifically.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with it's my own risk then.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's going to kill me but it doesn't prevent me from spreading it. Because you can still, I'm kind of on their side with that.
So if that's the factor, I would agree. If it prevented spread, that's a different conversation.
But I got vaccinated the day it was available to me.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, like the non-aggression principle of it.
Yeah.
Of if you,
I think if it prevented spread, I think it's your responsibility to have one.
And it's an ethical issue at that
point.
But
it doesn't.
So it's not.
And even the CDC is like, yeah, it doesn't really
Well, but. Was that initially or currently? Because like the current variants,
currently, but
like the Omicron variants are specifically mutated to avoid vaccines. Because you know what happens when you have
that's how
a bunch of people vaccinated and a bunch of people not vaccinated. Like the way I best heard it described is you just need one person in an entire nation that is immunocompromised and vaccinated, and gets exposed, because they're immunocompromised, their immune system does not attack that virus like at all. And it can just sit in their system and basically do battle with the vaccine.
Yeah.
Because they've been vaccinated, but they don't have an immune system. So this virus just does battle in a vacuum, basically, with the vaccine. And then will, in that, like maybe they had it 2-3 weeks ago, it's just a little bit weak enough so that it's an even fight. And they'll have this fight, and it can go on for weeks, and it can incubate in this person. And this, instead of a virus having like 1 or 2 little mutations from person to person, like its basic evolution, you can have a virus that comes out with like 36 mutations, which is what Omicron was. And it was probably, nesting in someone that like had diabetes or something. And it takes one fucking person, and then they get exposed to another person, and then this 36 times mutated virus spreads, and bang, like wildfire, because it's now evaded the vaccine, and it just takes off. This is like, but even if the science is sound, that's going to happen, because when you have billions of people getting infected, it's just going to happen.
Well, and like influenza does it every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Influenza's
moves
like
north, moves south, moves north and south.
Influenza is like Canada's 4th highest killer.
Yeah.
It's like heart disease, cancer, whatever, and then it's like right up there with people getting the flu.
Try this now.
And swallows all 5 ice cubes. Yeah, it tastes like shit. It's really watered down now. So, yeah. Last thing on this, because I know does anyone give a fuck about the vaccine anymore, or the COVID
Not
anymore?
Really,
dude. We're on like Omicron 5.
Yeah,
and like, I'm someone who believes COVID's real, believes it was a threat, believes in vaccination, and I don't care anymore.
I'm just fucking sick of it.
And it's like, it's not even that I'm sick of it. It's like, I'm kind of on the anti-vaxxer side. Like, why did we shut down? Because if we were going to shut down, right, we should have shut down until it was done. But we didn't. Like, why did we do any of this? Everyone's still getting infected. No one gives a shit.
It was political theater.
It's just so, and then speaking of political theater, I want to talk about one other thing, but let's take a shot first. This is the part of the show that we call Shot Caller, the part of the show, I said that twice, that you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take. Today's shot is picked by Ono Russid, and he picked some Di Serono for us. Shout out.
Subscribe to our Patreon.
Russid. Subscribe to our Patreon. We don't actually have one, but maybe in the future. And I just want to give a quick shout out. I'm taking a shot out of a New Zealand Kiwi shot glass, brought to us by my roommate Jean-Luc, who was just in New Zealand. I don't know where the fuck that St. Lucia shot glass. So every time someone goes on a vacation, they always bring me back a shot glass because they think I'm some fucking alcoholic. And you know what my favorite thing to get is? These little shot glasses. I think they're so fun.
They're great. They're great.
I love them.
They're great mementos.
Yeah. Cheers.
I take that over license plates any day. Like candy.
Fucking Zappa when he was here.
Okay.
That's like his liquor of choice. He sips Di Serono.
I can't get over it.
It's too sweet for me to
gross.
Enjoy. But anyway, speaking of political theater.
Yes.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got arrested. If you're watching the video version of this podcast, I looked into the camera like fucking Jim from The Office. So she didn't actually get arrested. She just got escorted off the Capitol.
Right. And
she pretended that like she was handcuffed.
Yeah.
She put her arms behind her back to pretend. And then, so now that these videos have come out, she's defending it, being like, no, I wasn't pretending I was handcuffed.
Of course.
I was putting my hands behind my back because that's what you do when you're cooperating with police. And then my first thought was, no, you put your hands up. You don't hide them behind your back, right? You put them up, palms open, so they can see you don't have it. Like, right?
Yeah.
And she's like a person of color, and like, so I understand her being like, I fucking immediately complied because Capitol Police, I don't give a shit. This is me talking, not her. I don't give a shit who you are. If you're a senator, what is she, a senator?
Yeah.
I don't really understand America's politics, but she's a senator. She's brown. They might kill her.
Yeah.
These fucking cops.
You'd be like, oh, I didn't know.
In front of cameras. Like, they get away with worse, right? So I understand being like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to fucking take a chance. I'm not fucking resisting this cop. But put your hands up.
I mean, if the cop's behind you, though.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I think it's a weak argument. I think
think
she was trying to get a photo op.
Also, the fact that she's getting escorted. Why was she escorted by Capitol Police in the first place?
They were her and like 15 other people, like senators, like the whole squad, and then some other ones were protesting the Roe v. Wade thing.
Okay.
Which you're, I guess, not allowed to do on the grounds, I guess. I don't know.
That doesn't make sense.
So, but then we dove deeper into this. Me and JL is the we. AOC and the whole squad had just voted for a bill to expand, like, militarizing police and stuff.
No, militarizing the Capitol Police.
Yeah, those exact cops that were moving her.
There's a $350 million budget allocation specifically for the suppression of protests.
That day, she gets arrested by those same people, arrested in quotations by the same people she's funding.
Yeah.
Because...
Not fucking likely.
No. You know what happens when you Google AOC Capitol Police now? The bill doesn't come up.
Right.
Her getting arrested comes up. Just like the fucking guy.
So this is SEO, but for the elected influencer.
Just like the guy the climate scientist that lit himself on fire on the steps of the Capitol. And the same day they put up fences so that when you Google U.S. Capitol, that story comes up, not the fucking climate scientist immolating himself.
Insane. That was the same day.
That was like right around the same time because they were blaming it on...
I wouldn't say that was the fault of the people putting up fences. I'd say that'd be the fault of the media that covers the fences, not the guy burning himself.
As Immortal Technique says, the fourth branch of the government, aka the media.
Yeah.
So, man, and like before we'll move off politics in a second, but last thing is the media, the Western media specifically, are the only ones pretending that Russia hasn't won this war.
Right, and the media...
If you're listening from Futureland, Russia invaded Ukraine about 6 months ago.
Yeah, from Futureland. And any media that says otherwise is getting like cease and desist letters, is getting their PayPal suspended. Not cease and desist, like investigations started. By federal bodies being like, oh, that's fake news, and they're getting their merchant services accounts, which is the lifeblood and the financial lifeline of these places.
You know what's
suspended?
Pissing me off the most is fucking Business Insider.
Mm-hmm.
All they're posting right now is Russia stories, and like me and a bunch of other people are commenting, being like, "Can you make like a Business Insider politics page?
Right,
post it over there." Like, I followed them on Twitter for, like, stock tips.
Right.
Like, I don't care about this. Like, but they're the ones posting this fucking, like, that Ghost of Kiev thing. It's like one fighter killed 500 Russians. It's like, that didn't even exist. It was just made up.
Yeah.
And then the story this week was Russians are shooting down their own jets because their AA guns are, like, malfunctioning or something.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to be a fucking moron to believe that. That the second most capable, maybe third, China, but like the second most capable military in the world is just like blunder. Like, you have to be so disconnected from reality to believe any of this. But Putin got what he wanted. Like, rubles
he did take a run on Kyiv and didn't get there. That was the one thing he didn't get.
Donbass is free.
Yeah.
Well,
it's rubble.
Okay, sure. The ruble's at a 25-year high.
Yeah.
Europe is literally in shambles. Just because of Putin and energy, Boris Johnson resigned. Italy's president resigned. Like, Germany had to turn on all their coal plants.
Biden's gonna lose.
Biden's going to lose, but like Germany had to turn on all their coal plants, and their prime minister, not the chancellor, but like their prime minister is like getting on TV being like, oh yeah, people are going to die over the winter. We don't have enough coal.
Yeah.
We're fucked. And all of the European Union is lifting the tariffs. They did nothing. And then BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, hold on. BRICS, I is, okay, Brazil,
Indonesia?
Russia,
No.
India.
India?
I know South Africa's in there. What's the C? China. BRICS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. BRICS, that group of country, they're making their own reserve currency.
Well, they have their own. They have an alternative solution to the SWIFT system.
Well, they're trying to get, and like I haven't read this. This is just my personal surmising. They're trying to switch the petrodollar.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to now. The
if not switch, they're trying to create at least.
But no, so here
a split system.
Here's what I think is happening is like because Russia can't just switch the petrodollar to the ruble.
No.
China can't just do it to the yuan.
No.
They're too like in these communist countries. That was a big quotation. It's too like there's too much distrust in the yuan to switch it over. Like USD is just the fucking trait, but right now, if they can make their own like BRICS currency that like more than half the world uses. Remember, India's 1.5 billion people. China's 2 billion. Like,
yes, the more important part is getting off the SWIFT system because the SWIFT system is controlled by.
They're off now.
Yeah,
because of these sanctions.
Yeah,
and then, so you know how Germany is literally millions of people are going. Okay, not millions, but like people are going to die because they can't heat. So Russia says, okay, we'll restart selling you natural gas, but you have to buy it in the BRICS currency.
Right.
That we're going to create. Like he gets, and then
if they get Germany, so goes the EU because
the entire EU switches to that off the USD. Like this, like the United States has lost.
That's war.
Like they have lost.
Yeah.
But then that's war. So United States declares war on Russia, and then the EU goes, who do we pick here?
Yeah.
Right? So that's like the European Union.
Who keeps our lights on?
European Union, Russia, China, India versus just America and us, I guess. Or do we side with Britain? Like
yeah, I don't know. It's fucking.
Well, we get fucked either way, but like I'm just saying, like the fucking cognitive dissonance.
And then all they're calling for in the States is abolish the Fed. You think that'll fix your fucking problems?
Well, and then like Israel,
I wish.
Israel's tighter with Russia than they are with the US now. Like everyone
How
likes
so?
to think because fucking Putin's been meeting with what's his name? Like there's like pictures of Israel's prime minister in the fucking Kremlin and shit recently. Like there's like they're forming bonds, and then all these fucking and then North Korea obviously is super tight with Russia as well. They just announced today that they're sending a bunch of laborers to rebuild the Donbass region from North Korea.
North Korea is rebuilding Donbass, yeah.
Like
which really goes against the narrative of that despot country of starving people.
Every other nation besides the United States has a better incentive to rely on each other now than they do to rely on the United States.
Yeah.
Like they lost the war and no one can see it yet. And when they make like I'll see a fucking Business Insider post on how like China's overtaken the US and something, it's all laugh reacts.
Right.
And all the comments are like fucking Chinese, like because they think of these fucking rice paddy farmer fucking buck teeth propaganda.
Yeah,
like
they don't think ocean going super carrier that's fully self-sustaining with its energy and also grows plants. No,
like,
there's a super carrier.
They have the sun. They have a sun in a fucking machine that can just give unlimited power.
There's a super carrier that they built that's going to be a ocean-going fish farm.
Okay.
And this is their solution for overfishing, is they built this massive boat that uses like the seawater. Sure. That uses seawater and like can produce fish at a ridiculous rate. So it's like, but it's right on the ocean, so it can use the resources of the ocean, just literally because it's there, and then will produce an obscene amount of fish. And it has like holding tanks, and that's just its sole purpose is to basically replace the ecosystem of the ocean without like plundering it. Incredible. And it just got launched recently, and it's like it makes American engineering feats look fucking stupid.
Well, America has lost. Like, do you see the fucking?
What has America innovated?
Since the wars? Nothing, right?
Well, a lot since the wars, but like since 1985.
Okay,
like,
fair. Yeah, like since the iPhone.
Since
Like,
the iPhone. Okay, let's cut it off at Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs dying. Maybe Elon. But I guess Elon just kind of like buys other people's technology and makes it his own.
Fucking
right?
China has surpassed Tesla this year. Do you know that?
No.
Okay, so fun fact for you.
China's like, they have there's an electric car company.
They have a company that has outsold Tesla.
I know
and just
that
so you know, in order to justify the current Tesla stock price, which
they
is
sold
already
all their
down.
Bitcoin. Did you see this today?
No.
Tesla earning report today, this morning. They had their best quarter ever, by a good margin. It was like 14 billion or something in the quarter. But then I'll get in. Maybe this will be our next topic. I've been getting a lot into better stock research.
Yeah.
I picked all my own stocks when at the beginning of COVID, and I lost like 20% of my money.
Fair.
So I restructured. I sold all my stocks pretty much, reinvested in ETFs where they picked the stocks for me. Started going up, and now I'm like, okay, I'm actually doing stock research, and like it's something I've found.
In order to pick stocks, you got to know what you're picking.
But it's just like reading about, like I've been watching videos about like the GameStop squeeze on Reddit and shit. Like I just find it interesting. I find markets interesting because it's like literally the more I learn about the financial markets, I'm like, none of this fucking exists.
Yeah.
You're literally like, I'm reading about like covered calls. It's like you're borrowing money, you're like lending your own shares of a company at someone, and they're charging a premium at a higher price. But if it goes over the price, you sell them at a higher price. And it's like literally none of this exists.
It's funny money.
It's fucking paper money, but people make billions off of it, right?
It's worse than paper money.
But
It's
so in my stock research this week, I was doing it today when the Tesla earnings came out. Apparently, the only reason they had a profitable quarter, sold 75% of their Bitcoin holdings, like $900 million. Because remember, they bought like $10 billion of Bitcoin or whatever.
and sold it at a loss.
Sold it at a loss, but made their quarter profitable.
Back on the books. Yeah, they liquidated.
So I saw somebody, they were tweeting it as kind of a meme, but they were like, yeah, every company should do that. Just hold Bitcoin, and then if you have a down quarter, sell it off, boost your profits. And I was like, wait a second. Cause like he was saying it making fun of him, being like, this is stupid. But then it's like, you're liquidating assets without having to liquidate assets. You don't have to sell any buildings. You don't have to fucking like, fascinating.
So Branton he got a Tesla, and they were saying like 8 weeks for delivery.
Yeah.
But then he gets a phone call. He's like, you can pick it up tomorrow.
No, they've.
But you have to pick it up tomorrow before the end of the quarter,
Please.
or it'll be 6 weeks.
Interesting. Because they wanted to pay.
Yeah.
To throw that in.
To push the numbers.
Fascinating.
Like that.
They have been delivering, though. They've been delivering the cars they promised. Like, it's.
But they literally said the quarterly numbers are due. Please pick up
You know
this
what?
car because they go by deliveries because
Yes.
it's the way their system works.
Yeah,
but,
no, it's like delivering a PO.
But yeah,
It's accrual accounting. You get the money when you deliver the PO, not when you get paid.
But I want to wedge in here, like before I lose the train. The current valuation of Tesla is basically predicated on the future potential of it, obviously. Right?
Correct.
Because it's future paced, super far. Way farther than you reasonably should.
Don't get me wrong. Tesla's trading higher than it should be.
Yes. Always is. Everyone agrees on that.
But I'm also an Elon fan, for the record.
Yeah, so is everyone.
Apparently not, but...
so there's a Chinese electric car company that has now surpassed them in total sales. in models delivered, or units delivered.
China's
But
going to be fucking net zero.
in order to justify the current stock price, Tesla has to control something like it's over 50% of the global market of EVs,
They're worth,
and they're not even hitting it currently.
Tesla's worth like 25% of the entire car market
Right.
based on market cap alone.
Right. So they need to control more than, I think it might even be more than 75% of the EV market for the next 20 years.
Which they're not going to.
No.
I know the India.
So if you're long on Tesla, sorry, dude.
I don't know. I think that
As a meme stock, it'll continue, but as the fundies aren't there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's.
I mean, if Gates has a short on it, he's probably right.
Warren Buffett doesn't like Elon. They don't like each other.
I'm probably on board with short Tesla long term, but don't actually short Tesla because most shorts are bad investments.
Like any person, no matter what you think of them, I think you like any investor with a little bit of investor knowledge can respect Warren Buffett that he is as good as they say.
Yeah, he's a
like
goat.
it's a meme that you're like, oh yeah, Warren Buffett, but it's like he is as good as they say. He picks companies that are going to be more valuable in 30 years, and they always are. He's like never had a big loss. Like it's all he's making good picks, and he has been very, very outspoken about Tesla is not a good pick. Doesn't have the fundamentals.
No,
because his whole investing thing, and he learned from a guy named Benjamin Graham. My current Twitter name is Willows Benjamin Graham Buffett.
Yeah.
Because I bought 8 stocks, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a stock trader now.
True.
I changed my Twitter name every like 2 weeks just to like whatever. Like it was Willows Soprano for a while when I was watching The Sopranos, and then it was Willows Djarin or Jarin when I was watching. That's the Mandalorian's name is Din Djarin, so it's Willows Djarin, and then I went watched Narcos. I changed it back to Soprano, and then what was I was playing a Morrowind, the Elder Scrolls game again, and then so I changed it to Halalu, Willows Halalu, which is a house in the anyway.
I'm glad that I'm finally getting this explained to me because I've never understood why.
All my names change all the time. Yeah, it's just like based on what I'm doing, and I change it like every week, but it always has Willows in it, obviously. But like
that's fair.
Anyway, so it's Willows Benjamin Graham Buffett right now. And Benjamin Graham is like one of the godfathers of like investing. Like he was the one that he was a professor to Warren Buffett, I believe. And his whole thing was identify a company that has more value than what they're currently trading at.
Yeah.
Buy that company, hold forever.
Which Tesla is not.
Exact. That's what I'm saying. That was my roundabout drunk trying to say is that that's Warren Buffett's entire strategy is find a company that's under trading that has good financials, buy that, hold forever.
Yeah. And I'd say
Tesla is not like I love you, Elon, but like it's not.
If you want to get in the world of trading meme stocks where you trade on
He's worth more than Ford.
Yeah, if you trade on trends and you are in that space where you trade on trends and fads and whatever's popular, that's an entirely different skill set. I'm not saying it's irrelevant, like it's a different skill set because you can still make as much money as someone who's trading on fundamentals.
Oh, dude,
which is what pisses off the fundamentals people because they're not hip with the shit and they get left behind.
I've been watching shout out Benjamin, his name is on YouTube. That's just like his entire YouTube channel is Benjamin. And he does stock videos, but they're like funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned more watching his videos than I have watching serious videos because he like compares it, like he explains some complex trading thing. And he's like, yeah, so if you do this, then you can buy more chicken tendies and wild turkey and like shit like that. And then he's like, or you can go full retard like I do, his word, not mine. And, and like this shit. And he's like, he has a running gag where he's like, this is what I would do. So do the opposite of this because I always lose money. But I guess he makes a living stock trading, and his Patreon, he just fucking uses 100% of the money in stupid trading, like to test theories.
Yeah.
So all that money he just fucking buys and sells. It's so funny. But, So I've been watching a lot of his videos, so shout out him. But he was talking a lot about all the Reddit meme stocks and shit, and all these people like the fucking one guy. Oh, I forget his name now, but you'll know what I'm talking about. He did a live stream where he bought it was something about like they were puts on Apple or something, and then so he's like live streaming with his face in the corner with his stock portfolio, like 5 minutes before the market opens Monday morning, and then it opened and he lost like $2 million, and he did all he went was that's like all he could say.
Amazing.
But what he did was Robinhood has this thing where like they had like a loan program if you like had Robinhood Gold.
Margin.
Well, so there was a loan program, there was a margin trading, and then there was like the stock trading.
Okay.
But so what he would do is take a loan from them, like a short-term loan, go over to the margin desk, be like, oh, I have this money. Give me, 6-to-1 margin. They would. He would take that money to the trading, buy shares, use those shares as collateral to get more loans, which he would then take to the margin desk, margin it out. And he's like, yeah, you can do that. And they've now patched this. You can't do this anymore. But back then he did it. And then he said in his Reddit post, he was like, do it till you reach your own personal risk tolerance.
Right.
He's like, which for me is 25-to-1.
Okay.
So he has like 20 grand involved, and he's trading like $2.5 million.
Oof.
So it's like he has like no money in the bank. So if he loses, like he's fucked, right? And he got fucked, and he lost everything, and he's like millions of dollars in the hole.
Well, bankruptcy.
But yeah, but America historically very hard to do personal bankruptcy. They'll still come for your shit.
Right.
But anyway, so watching videos like this and just like learning how to like these puts and calls where it's like, I still don't 100% understand it, where it's like you're like basically betting that a stock will go over this specific number at this specific date. And if it does, then you get paid. Yeah. And so like these people will just take margin.
It's literally just, it's betting odds. We'll pay you 3-to-1 if you do this and that.
And it's fascinating because you can just, it's like fucking like it's weird. It's gambling. It's throwing
it's just gambling on stock prices.
This one guy turned like $3,000 into like $6 million in like a month just by letting it ride, basically, like fucking doubling it on these weird puts, doing it again.
Oh yeah, puts pay off way higher.
And then,
so the most successful index fund currently in the U.S. is up like 259% this year.
But I'm talking like 30,000%.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about an index fund. Which is massive.
Yeah,
up 259% this year because they had a 2-year put on the entire technology sector,
which has crashed.
And they're
coming back.
And they're up 259% on their principal.
Yeah, because you can like buy these like out of the money puts.
Yeah, nobody was betting against tech in December, or November of last year. In the height of the pandemic, like the what do they call it, the FANG stocks. Like nobody was betting against them because they were on a tear. Yeah, and these people are like, nope, and they're fucking winning.
Yeah.
If you shorted tech and went long on energy, you were laughing.
Well, and then here's another one: is that Nancy Pelosi discloses that she bought $6 million in Nvidia stocks, and everyone's like, "That's interesting." Nvidia's at a fucking 52-week low.
Great time to buy.
Immediately gets in front of the House and says, I'm endorsing the CHIPS Act, which will bring microchip processor manufacturing to the United States so we don't have to rely on China for it. Guess what Nvidia does? That. Stock goes up 17%. Yep. How is this legal? I'm not kidding. How is that legal?
She is the one...
That's insider trading!
It's
You
not.
can't do that.
It's not even insider trading.
It's conflict of interest.
Yeah, it's conflict of interest. It's not insider trading because she doesn't work for Nvidia. She's not earning money from Nvidia, but she's literally like, I'm going to make money on this announcement I'm going to make tomorrow, which I'm also going to get political clout for.
So I followed.
It's a win-win-win-win. Like,
searched on Twitter, Pelosi trading bot.
yeah,
It's a bot that just tweets all her trades.
yeah,
That she discloses. Like, and this is another thing people need to understand. There's no fucking way she's disclosing all the trades she's making.
well, her husband's a hedge fund manager.
Yes, but they have a Cayman Islands fucking
Certainly.
account somewhere that's not associated with them. Some fucking janitor is trading fucking $10 billion of capital, and then they go to some Epstein Island and get a briefcase full of fucking money, allegedly. Like 100, they're Jordan Belforting it 100%.
Yeah.
Rat holes, he called them. So the stuff that she's disclosing, just do that.
Bitch change, yeah.
Like, but she made 3 times her yearly salary like yesterday.
Yeah. That's fine. She deserves it.
She's worth
Yes,
like
queen.
Nancy Pelosi and her husband are worth like $500 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's
She's
liberal.
She's this Democrat hero. But she goes long in defense contractors and then funds the Pentagon.
Yeah.
How is that not illegal? Like, see, but then here's where I'm
There's
going.
a reason the right hates Pelosi.
Here's
Everyone hates Pelosi.
Here's where I'm going though, is that like you can't do anything about it, right? So follow Pelosi trading bot and fucking make her trade. Like,
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Like,
What are you gonna do? Shit on her lawn?
oh, and then I started following a bot that tracks celebrity jets.
Yeah. The fucking Kylie Jenner
I was
3-minute flight.
Yeah, that's how I found it. Yeah, Kylie Jenner took a 13-minute flight.
3.
No, it was not that long or not that short.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 minutes.
It would have been a 40-minute drive from like Burbank to fucking Calabasas.
It's probably 3 minutes with the jet.
And she took a jet.
I'm pretty sure I said 3 minutes.
Okay, whatever. But
Because like a 737 is gonna
no, it
leave
was
the
a
run.
Gulfstream.
Okay, Gulfstream is gonna leave the runway at a few hundred kilometers an hour, and it's only gonna accelerate.
But like, is that even save you time?
Oh yeah, you save 40 minutes.
But like, no, but like busing, like you gotta like set up the plane.
No, when you fly private like that, and some of these people they have like, have you seen the Hollywood neighborhood where they have an airstrip
Yeah.
instead of a back lane?
Yeah.
Like you take off from your private airstrip, whoop, and you land at the other private airstrip, and there's a car waiting for you, and you just walk down the runway and you drive out.
But it's not like you can just do that without calling in air traffic control. Like there's fucking other
yeah, but
planes
people
up
do
there.
that for you. Like you just
No,
schedule
I know,
it
but, like,
ahead of time.
Okay, sure, but like you can't just like take off. Like there's a
Well,
lot of planning that needs to
Not
go into it.
necessarily. Like you have hundreds, like maybe even thousands of planes per hour taking off from LAX.
Yeah.
You just wedge yourself in the line, you go. Like
Yeah.
especially like private, they've got their own airstrips. Like you just bang, go.
But people were complaining because that was like the equivalent of my entire year's carbon emissions in 3 minutes.
yeah, absolutely.
But
and same
I
with
have-
super yachts.
I have to use these fucking straws that melt when I drink out of them,
Yeah.
but they can do that.
So super yachts are one of the best examples where a super yacht will do, I think, 15 times the average American family's annual output, like every month that it runs.
Well, I saw like there's a TikTok account of a guy that works on a super yacht,
Yeah.
and there were apparently they spend like $3 million a month in paint, repainting it
Yeah.
because it gets rusty and
Yeah. They gotta
algae and
gotta keep it looking-
barnacles and shit.
keep it looking fresh.
And it's just like,
And you need like scuba divers and shit to scrape off barnacles.
and then that like filling it up with petrol is just like, or not with diesel or whatever is
a few $100,000.
is millions of dollars. Like it's just like
Super tankers are like a couple $1 million.
it's interesting. Like yeah, I don't know. I'm
hang the rich.
I don't know what the solution is.
Start with Kylie
You're not oh, man. Can
in
I?
Minecraft.
Can I be the one that hangs Kylie?
For sure, you can be the
Not hanger in Minecraft, but like, can I just like give her a little smooch?
old choke.
I think Kylie is the hottest Jenner. If the hardest Kardashian.
For sure.
Except she's kind of fucked up her cheeks now with plastic surgery.
Of course.
Kendall's gorgeous too.
True.
I've never been a Kim fan myself,
No.
but
Too much dump in that truck.
I don't know. Just never. I don't know.
You can be you can be the hangman that like after the Nuremberg trials, the hangman that they hired, who was like famously incompetent. And
Honestly,
just really bad at hanging people.
realistically, if I had to pick one, give me Kris Jenner.
Of course.
She's the mastermind,
Yeah.
and I have a thing for Cougar.
You can learn a thing or two. I think you'd learn a lot of things actually.
How-
A week with Kris Jenner. How much would you pay?
Me a week with Kris Jenner. Do I get to fuck her, or is it just like
Yes.
is this like dinner with Jay-Z thing?
No. You get the
I get, like-
whole
Oh,
the whole experience.
probably millions, right?
Probably like everything I own, right?
What was that? I forget who it is.
You can
because-
turn that experience into millions of dollars.
You know that thing that was like, oh yeah, sex tape. You know that thing that was like, what would you take, $1 million cash or a dinner with Jay-Z?
Yeah.
And people were, and then like, I forget, was it Danny Brown? It was someone. They asked him that in an interview, and he's like, "What? $1 million? What are you talking?" He's like, and then the interviewer was like, "Yeah, some people take the dinner." He's like, "What?" He just lays him. No. I'm like,
It's like spend an hour with Jay-Z for him to talk about himself.
the average person, not even the average person, but like 99% of people wouldn't get any more value out of a dinner with somebody.
No.
Like,
If you
if you had an
cannot-
hour to ask a celebrity, not a celebrity, but like, I would call Jay-Z a mogul.
Mhm.
Like, he made $1 billion investments, right? You have an hour with a mogul to ask any question you want. I don't
Doesn't
think you couldn't.
The only way
formulate the
that
right
makes
questions.
sense is if you currently could capitalize on the connections or do a deal in that dinner that would be equivalent to $1 million.
Yeah, because then you get the dinner with Jay-Z, and then you'd be like, dude, what should I do? And he's like, oh, buy $6 million in NVIDIA stock.
Right.
And you're like, I don't have $6 million. He's like, oh, well, I guess you're fucked. Like, you know.
Yeah. No, you need to be able to actually leverage that conversation. Period.
Yeah.
Which is why, I mean, I kind of stopped networking senselessly because it's like, why am I meeting a guy from XYZ commercial cleaning company? Zero relevance to me. Like,
Although I do have stories where I've networked needlessly with random people, and then in the future it comes up
right.
where it's like businesses trading fucking favors. And if somebody, you need something from them, you can get them something else, trade those people. Like, I've done that before.
But you're a lot better off networking with intent
Of course.
because otherwise you're just firing blanks in the dark.
And I would also say be upfront with that content if you're going to intent, sorry, if you're using what we're saying as actual advice and
Yeah.
not just us bullshitting, is be like, hey, I'm in this industry, I'm trying to do this. These are the kind of things I used to love it, not love it, but I used to do it when I was younger and just getting into business, when people would be like, hey, I'm just like another business owner, let's have dinner. And I do shit like that, right? And now I'm like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, no, I don't want anything. I'm like, no, but what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here, right? Like, don't waste my fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can get a hell of a lot more done if you have a goal in mind and you go and network intentionally.
Well, and
like
most
just
business
networking-
owners will appreciate it.
Yeah, networking for the sake of it, you're going to be a tire kicker and you're going to network with tire kickers. And maybe you get lucky once in a while. If you are
That's a good point, actually. You're going to meet the same people doing the same shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like an endless loop of people networking
it's
that
a
don't.
circle jerk.
Interesting.
If you're a tire kicker, networking, you're going to network with tire kickers. If you're networking with intent, you might find somebody of value very quickly. Or, if you are very intentional about where you network and how and who you're trying to meet, and if you go to a networking event and be like, I know this person's going, and I want to get this out of that person, so I need to have a conversation with them, and I need to engineer this interaction. The ROI of that, virtually infinite. And if you fail, try again. Follow that person. Follow this idea. Follow this industry. But if you are just blindly going to Chamber of Commerce without a plan, I've been to quite a few chamber events and gotten 0 out of virtually all of them. Yeah. Because I didn't.
So have I, yeah.
My quote unquote networking was I talked to an architect. I talked to maybe it was it might have been a contractor of some kind, and then someone that worked for the Cultural Arts Center. What did I get out of that entire event of a $250 dinner? Nothing. I got to know some insider information on what was happening in my city, which became public knowledge 30 days later, which I couldn't leverage for anything.
I was going to say, if you had the money to leverage it, though.
And that was it. It was a fucking waste. If I would have spent my own money on that event, I would have been chapped. Waste. If I went in there being I need to meet with this person, I got their Face memorized, I've seen their shit on LinkedIn, maybe I've had a couple of messages with them, maybe there's some interaction previously, and you go in and you're I'm in the same space as you, I'm showing face, maybe then. But yeah, for the sake of it, I don't fucking see it. You don't get anybody serious to show up.
There is... I actually told this story today. I forget where the fuck it's from, but there's some book where buddies my friend was a realtor for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I go to sell my house and I sold it without him.
Yeah.
Because I forgot he was a realtor.
Right.
And the moral was, as a business owner, you need to not piss people off and be this is what I do, but have enough of a presence.
Yeah.
That people are well, people always oh, the Willow's the liquor guy. They know me. They know me by reputation, a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about showing up to events and just to represent yourself. I always go to the launches of new breweries in the province. Mm-hmm. Because I think we should just, as a member of the industry, should just represent ourselves in the industry, even though I'm not trying to network anything in mind.
But you'll see who else is there.
Yeah.
Who else is supporting.
Yeah. Which I think is important.
And they'll know.
Yeah.
But that's specific, targeted, intentional networking.
Sure.
That's not, you're not going to, the Contractors Association because maybe you'll meet somebody there who builds houses but also likes wine.
Sure.
Big difference.
Well, we're going to transfer here into the last segment that we call Tip of the Morning. But right before we do this, we're going to take another shot, because if we take a shot that's under 40% on this episode...
And also the bottle's almost empty.
And we just killed the bottle. Fuck it.
Fuck it. We don't need reasons. No, we want Serrano.
So this last segment in the podcast that we call Tip of the Morning is Tyler and I give you business advice that we are currently going through in business or life or whatever. And my tip, what's funny? Tyler, when he got here, said this needs to be a short episode because it's late and I want to go home. And this is actually longer than usual.
It's fine.
So I'll keep it quick. My tip, trade exactly what Nancy Pelosi is trading.
Nice.
And avoid what Jim Cramer is trading. That's what I've learned from my couple weeks of stock research.
Or, what's that hedge fund manager woman that has literally made every mistake you could possibly make?
What, Theranos?
No. Ark Invest, Kathy Wood.
She lost 90% of her fucking...
Yeah, do the opposite of her.
What did she do? She bet against Facebook.
No, she bet on Facebook.
Lost all her money, bet like against Tesla, lost more money, and then like did just
No,
kept
she bought Peloton.
right before they crashed.
She bought Facebook.
Yeah.
2 months before they crashed.
Yeah.
She bought. I think Peloton was her biggest.
Peloton, that was like.
And not Skype, not Zoom. It was cloud services. Anyways, fucking pandemic stocks, and she just took a fucking bath.
Yeah,
Anyways,
she took like 3 bad L's in a row.
short whatever she buys,
Yeah.
and then go long whatever Pelosi buys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my tip of the week.
Or at least call whatever Pelosi buys.
Sure.
My tip of the week would be, I think my most satisfying, I guess, change in my personal life lately would be I've actually switched a lot of my like audio intake of information, like podcasts, books, whatever, and I'm starting to dribble back in actual reading, which feels weird to me.
Yeah, because I like none of you read actual physical books.
Right. So I switched over to physical books and actually reading research and articles in the last couple of weeks. But I haven't slowed down on podcasts or audiobooks. Like I've just
intaking more.
I'm just doing more.
Yeah.
But in different forms.
Yeah.
And I know this as someone who's done like seminars and teaching and training and stuff like that. That reading intake is better than audio intake by a factor of like 20% maybe.
Just because how your brain processes
like the
it?
memory retention of something read versus something heard
Okay.
is significantly better. If it's a story, stories have almost the best retention out of everything, regardless of the method of intake.
Yeah.
And yeah, so reading is better than listening, and engaging with any material, like where you have some kind of response or analysis, is better than just consuming. And then reteaching is better than all the above.
Yeah.
But games and stories surpass all. So I've kind of been cracking into reading, and I guess reteaching in a manner where I then share the information with people that I know, and with this podcast. So yeah, my fucking information retention has gone up, and I feel like just my general understanding has gone up, and my anxiety has gone down. So that's been kind of fun.
It's this new thing.
Where read?
It's like listening to a podcast, but you just have to do it with your eyes.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's like I saw in one of those, I think it was one of those Benjamin videos where it was like, yeah, there's this weird thing you can do. It's called buying shares. And it's like, what did he say? It's like buying puts, but you own or it's like buying calls, but you own the company, or you own the stock. And it's like this weird thing. I know that no one on Wall Street Bets would know what this is, but it's like buying shares. It's like, it's so funny. Like, yeah. So yeah, right. Reading.
Back to basic, bitches.
Reading. It's like listening to a podcast, but with your eyes.
Yeah. And I've kind of turned.
Where are you getting your books from?
Actually, those little free libraries.
Wow,
in
really?
people's driveways.
You're actually using those?
Oh yeah.
Do you return them?
No.
This fucking guy.
I collect them.
Yeah. Typical.
Because they're always full. Like I see people like bring cardboard boxes and they just like fill them until they're overflowing. I just like take whatever I want. They're never empty. I will fill them one day, but today's not that day.
I'll buy the occasional book on Amazon because I like reading. You know what I like? I really like reading. I really do.
Yeah.
But I just have I think I undiagnosed ADHD or
Probably.
ADD. Like 100%. Well, you know me. Like 100%. I have just such bad retention. Like I just can't do. I don't know.
I have to pick a specific book.
But so I'm still reading. I've been reading a book for 6 months, 9 months almost.
Yeah.
Because I read a chapter at a time.
No, put it down. Pick a different fucking book. Like. Yeah. I have to sometimes run 3-4 books at a time in order to finish any of them.
That's fair.
So hack your own brain on that one.
Another thing is like I don't read at home because I'm like, well, I have my computer.
Yeah.
So I'll read at work at like I'll do farmers markets, so I won't have my whatever. So I'll like read a chapter of the book to make and like I like it, but
What's forced me to slow down is I got an iPad,
sure.
and it's separate from my phone with all its distractions.
Yeah.
And iPad Instagram is weird as hell.
Sure.
Like it's just like it's like it's the same aspect ratio as on a phone,
Yeah.
but there's just like black space.
Yeah.
And everything's super large.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
Large.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. So I don't use my regular distraction apps on my iPad, but I just read. So like Apple News, I have Substack, I have a bunch of these things, and I'm actually going through and reading entire articles and trying to find follow journalists and
what I
specific
hate
sites.
is the boomers being like, fucking kids nowadays are dumb. All they do is spend time on their phone.
Yeah.
But it's like I read full articles constantly. Like,
Yeah.
it's the same as reading the newspaper.
Yes.
Like, fuck
Yeah.
off. Like, it's boomers.
I just read it better on an iPad. for
Wait,
whatever
so
reason.
my tip of the week is buy Nancy Pelosi stocks. Your tip of the week is read a book.
Is buy an iPad.
Perfect.
No, my tip would be to be concise about it, which we never are. Just switch up your consumption of information just a little bit. Change your habits, and like maybe if you're watching a specific TV show every night, or consuming information from a specific person or website, just kind of turn that off for a short period of time. But continue to investigate the same things you're interested in from a different perspective or a different source.
I've heard the reason
And
why people like.
It'll change your outlook a lot.
I've heard the reason why people like watch The Office on repeat is because they have like anxiety that they don't want to like have something new.
Yeah.
So like the familiarity of a series they've already seen 100 times
Yeah.
is comforting.
Yeah.
That's an interesting.
That's exactly it. That's why you turn on the same channel, listen to the same motherfucker, Tucker Carlson, and just believe and be like, you know what? I trust this guy. What he's saying is probably true.
There's way
Don't do
more I
that.
want to say, but we got to finish up. The last thing I want to say, just when you said Tucker Carlson, I was thinking about there was a mall shooting a couple days ago, and then some good guy with a gun killed him.
Yep.
Apparently that good guy with a gun, it was an illegal firearm, and he was like, it's like a whole thing. America is fucked.
Yeah, and also still more effective than 400 cops.
Thanks. So this episode has been sponsored by the Uvalde Police Force.
They
Thank
took
you.
their 40% of the municipal budget and sponsored us.
Yeah, it took 400 of them to sponsor this episode, so we appreciate
There's a lot of emails, but they CC'd like 300 guys on the email.
And then they didn't end up paying us. So
Yeah, because
anyway,
their accounting department is like 40 people, but they only have one credit card.
this episode has been 79. Follow us, Alcohol Beyond This Point. Link.tree/Alcohol Beyond This Point. You can find all our shit.
Damn, Morton, you got that clout.
Huh? True. Like, bye, I guess, right?
Thanks.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.